Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mama Christine's podcast, Living Life Through Experience. And it is Thursday, July 31st. Wow, the end of July. It's like, oh, summer's not bad. It's going by at a cool pace. And then before you know it, tomorrow's August 1st, and it's like, wow, there's only like a month and a half left. It's like, what happened? But that's what it is every year. So enjoy it while it's here. Appreciate it. Be grateful for it. So tonight we're going to talk about a bunch of different things. And hopefully I can help you out with some things that might resonate with you. But of course, as always, we're going to do a card first to see where we're at. So since I'm filming from a different location, I have different cards. So I have my saints and angels. So let's see what we got. Stress management. Okay. So yes, stress management is something we all need. Okay. Oh my goodness. I think in today's society, it's funny because you listen to the generation before you, the generation before that. Oh, back in my day, everything was so slow and everything moved at an easy pace and nobody was rushing around. But I think as we have grown with the generations, we have somehow acquired things that were supposed to make our lives easier, but they don't always. Technology, for one, when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, right? Forget about it. Although I have to say, I am grateful for a lot of the technology that we have because I can connect with so many of you. You know, it's not just connecting with people in person in my office, but being able to connect with people on social media, through the podcast, online appointments, phone appointments, things like that. So it has its perks, it really does. And in some aspects, yes, it makes your life easier. But in other aspects, when it decides it's not going to work, like now, Mercury in retrograde, we're still in the middle of it. We have about a week and a half left, and it's, oh my God, the craziness with the phones and the computers and all kinds of things. Even my sister today was trying to program an outlet and for, like a timer, and it just wasn't connecting. No matter what she tried, it's like, just let it go for now, check it in later. It'll come back, definitely. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things, and then we're all going to have to do with stress management. I know it's hard to see, but it does say stress above that management card. Stress management. So, we all go through a lot of stress, and stress is normal. Now, what's not normal is when you have so much stress that now you're running into situations of anxiety, panic, being overwhelmed, emotionally out of sorts, mentally out of sorts. That's not good stress. That is like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Okay, we've really got to reel things back a little bit here and really decipher what is best for you. Okay. So as a coach, I always try to help people and teach people ways of managing their day, managing certain aspects of their life. But today, of course, we're talking about stress management. So how can we balance life and everything that's in it? What can I do to create a better balance in my life where the stress is the normal stress, but not the overpowering, oh my God, stress. Okay. So obviously, if you're an adult, you probably have a job of some sort, maybe a career, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, maybe you run your own business, right? But everybody has something to do, all right? Some type of a job, whether it's home or away. And one thing we try to do is do it all. Been there, done that, okay? I've mentioned this many times. I have 3 kids. They were like having triplets because they were so close in age. And I would go shopping with 2 grocery carts, 2 kids in one kid in the other with the groceries, push one, pull the other, and just in and out of the aisles, out of the store and home. And do everything, take the kids in the house, put the stuff away. What did I used to do to, oh my gosh, manage my stress back then? I would literally walk away for a few minutes. I would. I mean, people are like, oh my God, you just left the kids there. I'm like, first of all, I left them there safely. I did not just leave them running amok in the house, okay? I made sure they were settled. They were either watching a show or playing a game or playing with their toys of whatever it was, or even down for a nap. You know what I mean? And then I would just like lock myself away for 5 minutes just to like breathe. Okay? These are things we need to do every day, all day. Well, maybe not all day, but throughout the day. There's just so much. And I was a stay-at-home mom. And of course, I know some people look at that as like, oh, you didn't work? I'm like, well, you can call it not working, but it's work. It's a lot more work than work is sometimes. At least when you go to a job, you can punch in and punch out, and that's the end of it. When you're a mom, it's 24/7, and I didn't have a lot of help. So therefore, I was taking care of the house, cooking all the meals, kids, all 3 kids. So of course you're talking diapers, playtime, eating, snack time, nap time, bath time, all those things. I would prep lunches. I would do laundry, you name it. I did it all. So again, yeah, I had to find ways to de-stress. And, definitely when my kids were a little bit older, where I didn't have to feel like I needed to have that baby monitor around it all the time, I could put some earbuds in and listen to meditation when I went to sleep. Because I don't care what you say, mother's instinct, if one of your kids needs you. I don't care what you're listening to, you're going to know. So I didn't worry about it. Of course, I did have somebody else there with me. That's a whole nother story. Anywho. So stress management, life can get crazy. And, even when my kids got older and they were in school full time, that's when I started my business. So now it's like, okay, run a business, pick up the kids from pre-K, bring them home, go back to work, they had a sitter, so they would be with the sitter. But then I would leave the business at closing time, go home, and I cook dinner, clean up from dinner, make sure they were settled, make sure they took their baths and whatever, PJs. And, sometimes it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock before I got a chance to like chill. Because depending on their age, they were in bed early. I didn't let my kids stay up late. My kids were always in bed, like as infants, it was like 6:30, and they would sleep 6:30 to 6:30, and then it was like 7 o'clock by the time they were a little bit older than a toddler, and so on and so forth. But it was, I set boundaries. I didn't let my kids overtake how things should have been, because it's very easy if your kid goes, I don't want to go to sleep, and you're like, okay. And then before you know it, they're up later than you are, so I was very regimented with my kids, but that was my choice. That's how I chose to do things. But that worked for me and it worked for them. So, one thing I can say is when it comes to stress management, one of the major components is having self-awareness. And what that means is recognizing right away that you need a moment. Okay, especially if you have kids. Of course, I know a lot of people that listen to my videos are older, and maybe your kids are grown, but maybe you have grandkids, and I know a lot of grandparents like to have their grandkids over and so on. But yeah, it's having self-awareness of like, wow, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and I need to take a step back. Because what happens is like when my twins were born, I was always I grew up and I was taught that you had to be responsible for your stuff. It's true. If it's your thing or your toy or your, bike or now your children, they're your responsibility. And I took that to heart, I guess you could say, but I did feel that I'm like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. My point is staying home is to be with them, to discipline them, take care of them, the whole 9 yards. And when I had my twins, it was hard. Feeding one baby is not a big deal. Maybe you're up every 2 hours, but at least it's one. I had one get up. You change the diaper, you feed, burp, feed, burp, feed, burp, feed, burp. And then before you know it, they need a diaper change again. Then you finally get them back down. You get about 20 minutes to close your eyes to a half an hour, and the other one wakes up. And you do that all over again. By the time you get to lay back down, you get 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and the other one wakes up because already 2 hours has passed in that time frame. And it's like, oh my God. I had actually gotten to the point where I believe I was severely sleep deprived. where I just lost it one day and I cried my eyes out. I just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, the whole thing, like one of the babies started to cry and I just lost it. And my mother was like, okay, that's it. That's it. Give me that baby. Go lay down. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to take care of it. You need to go sleep. And oh my God, I think I slept 4 hours straight. That was the best sleep I'd ever had in my life. But that was because instead of asking for help, I kept pushing myself. I was not being self-aware at that time of what I needed, because I just took everything to heart. Like, it's my responsibility. These are my kids. I have to take care of them, so on and so forth. And again, I didn't have a lot of help. So I did what I could. But now, all these years later, and I learned over the years, it didn't take me this long to figure it out, but yeah, I'm very self-aware. Like, if I let myself, I call it play all day long. I can cook and I can clean and I can bake and I can do all these things. And a lot of that I love doing, especially the cooking thing. I love cooking. So, I have no problem sitting there and like, oh, I'll bake some bread and I'll make a soup, or I'll do this and I'll do that. And I'll make a dessert or what. But then, hours go by, I'm enjoying myself, but then, half the day's over. And then it's like, okay, I got to get laundry done. I got to clean. I said, of course, I have a dog and I have 2 cats. So it's like, get the vacuum out and do the, and then before you know it, it's dinner time and they clean up. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. What happened? Now I'm more aware of where my time is. I truly am. And we have to do that. I mean, you can't put everything in one day. I try to manage my time off, like Sundays and Mondays is my time off. So Sundays, yes, Sunday is my day. I'll throw in my laundry. I'll do some cooking, clean up a little bit. I take care of all my plants. I'm a plant freak, so I have like 130 plants, I suppose. And, so we get watered, we get trimmed, whatever it needs. So, that's my Sunday. Do what I need to do. And of course, if there's something to do, fun, there's a festival going on or a craft fair or a farmer's market I want to go to, then by all means, I put the vacuum down and I'm like, I'll get to it later. And then I try to leave Monday for myself. If there's anything on Sunday I didn't finish, I'll do it early in the morning on Monday. Monday is beach day. It's lounge around and relax day. It truly, truly is. So, I've learned to have this stress management over the years, as things have gone along. And, even with the kids are like, let's do this and let's do that and let's go here and let's go there. I'm like, what? We've done quite a bit already. So why don't we have some downtime? We can all just chill out for a bit. Then we can pick something we can go do after, So even teaching them time management, and not letting them get overwhelmed by pushing them constantly. You know what I mean? And even today, I can say that my kids are pretty self-aware of how they're feeling. One of my girls knows that when she's had enough socialization, she shuts down. That's it. I'm done. And she goes off and goes to her room or her apartment or whatever and just kind of chills because, she's had enough. And I'm like, good for you. It's not an antisocial thing. It's being self-aware of how you're feeling. And if you try to push yourself in a situation where you're not comfortable because you're feeling overwhelmed, it's not going to be pretty. And I think that's what a lot of people have to understand. If you don't know someone who is like that, then it makes it hard for you to understand, like, well, what are they going to sit over there for? Why can't they sit and talk with us? What's the difference? They don't have to talk. They just have to be there. But sometimes it's just the energy, it's the conversation, it's the noise level, it's many different factors that trigger people, and everybody has their own different personalities, and that's part of who she is, so I don't disregard her for that at all. I tell her, I'm like, good for you. You've had enough. Then go take a break. You know what I mean? If you want to come back and join us, you know where we are. And that's how we handle it. And she's good and I'm good with it. And if you're not good with it, oh well, that's all I'm going to say. But it's the same thing, people with little kids, they get overwhelmed as well. I mean, you want to have a nice time as an adult going to, I don't know, visit somewhere. Maybe it's an amusement park and then you want to go for dinner. Then you want to go watch fireworks late at night. And the kids are now cranky and crying and whining and being misbehaving because they don't want to deal anymore. And then you get mad at them, and then they're upset, and then they're crying, and now nobody enjoys themselves. That's why I'm saying stress management. Be self-aware. And kids are not always self-aware, so we have to be self-aware for them. So keep that in mind. If you could see that your kid, grandkid, niece, nephew, whoever, is really starting to feel like they're being overwhelmed by so much stuff, then you know what? Have somebody take them aside, or you take them aside and say, why don't we just go sit for a little while and rest, and then we can go join everybody else. Whatever needs to be done. But that's how you stress manage, when you're self-aware. So if you're aware that your kid or whatever child you're with is getting to that point where it's too much for them, be self-aware and help them along with that. As far as being self-aware of how much stuff you have to do, okay, this is where I feel like sometimes maybe just setting some goals on what needs to be done. I know writing lists, sometimes people are like, oh my God, you write a list for everything. You know what? I really do. Everything goes in my phone calendar. I have a whiteboard in my kitchen, so this way, if there's something missing with the food, I can put it on the board for the list. And I go shopping, I don't forget things. And I've always done that, so it's got nothing to do with age. I have always done that. But yeah, if I know I have, because Mondays, it's hard. I know Mondays I like to keep for myself. But again, when it comes to appointments, service appointments, doctor's appointments, dentists, I kind of have to do that on the Monday because that's my day off. And they're not open on Sundays. But sometimes it's like, you know what? Something came up. I need to go to the post office and get stamps. I need to stop at the bank and make a deposit. I got a dentist appointment at this time, and I have this to do over there. And it was a phone call I need to make, which again, businesses are not always open on weekends, so you have to do it on the Monday. So I'll actually write a list of all the things I have to do, because what'll happen, it'll be 4:30 in the afternoon, and I'll go, oh, I forgot to make that phone call. So you know what? Set some goals. Have a to-do list. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes if I can't write it down, I actually put it in my phone calendar as an appointment or something. I'll say, call the bank. Let's say if it's the bank I'm calling, and I'll just put in, like, say 1:00. And I always have a reminder. So many minutes beforehand, it'll pop up like, hey, you got to call the bank. And it's like, oh, that's right. But I'll check the calendar every day too. What's on my calendar today? What am I supposed to be doing? So that is a great way to kind of keep things organized and stay on track. Because some people are like, like a dog with squirrels. You're going after the squirrel, and it's like, oh, squirrel, another squirrel, oh, squirrel, and it's very easy to get distracted. And then when we get distracted, then we're here, there, and everywhere. And now we're getting aggravated with ourselves because we didn't finish this, we didn't finish that. Now we're over here, and it's like, let me finish something I can't finish. And then we get frustrated and whatnot. And then boom, it's time for stress management again. So find ways of getting your to-do list listed by the day. Okay. If you know that, like, you're meeting friends on, say, Saturday for breakfast or lunch or something, write it down. Sunday, I want to go to the farmer's market. Because a lot of times there's like these different festivals or markets or whatever that I see, and I'm like, oh, I have to remember that. But because, there is a lot going on in life, I forget sometimes. And by the time I remember, it's like, oh God, by the time I get there, I'm going to have like 10 minutes to walk around. Forget it. I'm not going to go. And I miss out on things. Not always, but I have. And so this way, everything's written down. And even if I choose, like, you know what, I'm really not feeling it today, then don't. That's okay. It's not one of those goals like, okay, you're not reaching your goals. You're supposed to get this done so you can make this happen. And going to visit farmers markets or things like that, it's like, if you're not into it, you're not into it that moment. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. But, definitely set some goals and, then look back at the end of the day and see how everything's been checked off, and people feel so much better. They feel like they've really achieved something, I know for me, it's like if I have, like most people, you get that time of the year, it's like spring cleaning, fall cleaning, whatever, and you have these big projects you want to do, like, oh, I want to clean out the cabinets, I want to scrub the bathroom, like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to change sheets. I want to clean out a closet, clean out my drawers, whatever it is. And I finally get to it. And then it's like, once it's done, it's like that sense of like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel like I accomplished something. I wasn't just doing this and that and this and that and running around like a crazy person. I set goals for big projects I wanted done, and I finished them. So it's a lot of, again, it's balance, and being self-aware, and, again, emotionally knowing where you are too, because like I said, if you're feeling like having a day where like, this just isn't sitting with me today, I can't, my head is all over the place, I'm emotionally drained, I just can't function. Well, then don't force yourself to do something that is going to come out half-assed, so to say, because you're just not in the right space for it. You got a long life. It'll get done. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, okay? One thing I want to say about that, too, is a lot of the stress that we create for ourselves has to do with, because maybe you set goals and maybe, you've set my to-do list or whatever, you have a calendar, but what happens is I'm all set to go, and then I have a bad day, or I have bad feelings, or I'm feeling under the weather, and then I'm beating myself up because I didn't get it done. That piece is the confidence piece. And then what happens is it kind of spirals, and then we start with this craziness of stress because, oh my God, I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Because now I'm behind, because now I didn't do that stuff on the day I was supposed to do it. Now I got 2 days worth of stuff to do. And then, before you know, it's going to be 3 days worth of, how am I going to get all this stuff? And then your head just starts going and going and going, right? We need to bring that back. Okay. All done. Stop. All right. Again, the dog fur, I love him to death, I do, but the dog fur is still going to be there tomorrow. I'm not saying I'm going to let it pile up for another week, okay? But for now, I can't do it today. I'm just not in a good space. It can wait till tomorrow. And then, you know what? If you have to add one little extra thing to every day just so you can catch up, then do that. You'll catch up eventually. Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. There's much more important things in life than cleaning and purging, and, they need to be done, yes, but you know what? Priorities. Figure out what is most important and start there. That's where you want to be. So don't beat yourself up, because then what happens is, yes, you do make yourself feel like you're not in control, you're not in your personal power, you're feeling weak, therefore your confidence goes down, your self-esteem goes down, and now where are you? Now you're curled up in a ball on the couch watching Lifetime movies, eating popcorn. I don't know, right? We can't do that to ourselves over one day, one thing, whatever it is. So again, it's be self-aware. It's like, okay, I got all this to do, and guess what? We'll catch up. We'll do. And I'm going to remind you right now, of course, how many times before has this happened? And how many times before have you managed to finish what needed to be done? Was it in your timeline? Maybe not, but it got done, right? Again, it's priorities. And we always forget, I've been through this before. And we sit there and beat ourselves up again over something we've done before and accomplished before. But in this moment, we feel like we don't accomplish anything. You always accomplish what you want to. Sometimes it just takes you a little longer, and then you forget. And why do we forget? Because there's so much more going on, because we're stressed. Okay? So you got to let go of all that self-doubt and all that shoulda, woulda, coulda, can't. Oh my God, stop. What we need to work on is shifting the mind. Okay? And as you know, the mind controls everything. Oh my God. Your personality, your thinking, your positive thinking, negative thinking, your health, your happiness, all of it. As they say, what your mind believes, you will achieve. And it's like, so if you think you're stupid and worthless and I can't get anything done and I'm not focused and, oh my God, because people do say those things, then your brain is just like, that's who you are. Okay, let's sit down and be useless. Let's not focus on anything. You don't want to create that. We can have a moment, by all means. I mean, words are words. But you can have a moment where you say, wow, I feel so useless today. But that's okay, because tomorrow I'm going to stick to my list and get my things done. See how you turn things around like that? That's what we need to work on. I found that, oh my God, many years ago. Of course, I've always been on this path of trying to always go up the roller coaster, and finding positivity, finding light, finding good energy, doing my best to, I don't know, not be in the negative, not be judgmental, not be any of those things. And I'm human like everybody else, so I probably have had my days, I'm sure. Usually when I'm driving, because that's my pet peeve, and I've talked about that before, and we're not going to go there today. Anywho, but yeah, I mean, I've always worked a lot on changing and shifting my mindset. The person I was married to was always a negative comment, always a negative comment. Oh, we have, we're the poorest person on the street. Our kids are the worst because everybody else's kids are better than ours because they behave. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. And it's just always with the negative. And it's like, and I know you're probably saying, why did you marry that person? Because that person was not like that when I met them. But anyhow, changing your mindset is really, it's not an easy thing to do. I always ask, let it be easy. But it's being aware more than anything. And we talked about, self-awareness before, and it's recognizing when we're starting to be negative, when we start complaining, when we start judging, whether we're judging the situation or ourselves or someone else or whatnot. Being aware and recognizing those things is step one. Okay. And once you start noticing it more often, you can catch yourself and then turn it around. So yeah, like, oh my God, I'm so useless today. I did nothing. But I sat down and decided to do nothing because I felt like I needed that for self-care today to manage my stress. And I can continue on tomorrow and do the things I was supposed to do today. We shift, right? With any goal, whether it's your to-do list, starting a business, moving, getting another job, whatever it might be, again, you're going to have your days where you're going to feel negative, and, just one of my kids right now is looking for a job, and she's had 2 or 3 no's, after interviews. And I'm like, it's okay. Because that just means you weren't meant to be in those places. You will find something. And I know she knows that, but again, as a human, you automatically go to that, oh God, when am I going to find a job? No, it's all right. I trust and believe something's coming. I'll have something by September, And so, you got to switch it around. Because if you keep saying, I don't have, that's all the universe hears. And they're like, well, because she doesn't want it. She knows she doesn't have it. So we continue not to give it to her so she doesn't have it. Trust and believe. Take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. Okay? But yeah, so, those are the things that we can work on, and things that you can do like in the moment throughout the day. Because, of course, everybody say, meditation for stress management. Yeah, at the end of the day or the beginning of your day is a great time to do that if you can. In the middle of your day, if you're at work, you can't just say, okay, I'm spent, I'm done, I'm going to meditate for a half hour, I'll be back. Your boss is not going to let you do that. But your boss does allow you to go to the bathroom or take a 15-minute break, right? During that time, this is where you close your eyes and you take 3 deep breaths in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it and then exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So, you'll see your energy just go whoosh right down. Because when we're getting overwhelmed and stressed, it goes way out like this, and it's like, oh my God, breathe. So, and breathing is one thing you could do if you're at your desk. While you're at your computer or whatever, you can take a deep cleansing breath and bring yourself down. Now, breathing is also a form of clearing your energy, getting your energy to move, so this way you have clarity. Reduce the stress, have clarity. That's how we manage the stress, right? Sometimes just getting up and walking away from your desk and then walking back. Give yourself a minute, move around, get your blood pumping, right? Whatever. I'm not saying do a marathon around the office or your workspace, but it's like maybe just getting up for a minute and just going for a walk to the bathroom or to a different area and then walking back again. Just get away from what's in front of you that's driving you crazy, right? Because yes, computers can drive us crazy sometimes. Same thing if you work with the public. Breathe. Been there, done that. I worked with the public. I pretty much work with the public my whole working life. So, 40 years of working with the public in different aspects, it's not always easy. It's tough sometimes, you have to admit. And all I do is take a step back and breathe. Breathe. I ask the angels, please help me. Help me to remain calm. Please remove any energy that does not belong to me. Help me to get through this situation with this person. Whether you're waiting on them at a restaurant or customer service, the telephone, in-person service call, whatever it is, okay? Breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. When you're feeling so overwhelmed that you feel like you've had enough and you're done, but you're on the verge of crying your eyes out for like 2 hours, like you can't even open your mouth to say anything, otherwise you're going to cry. 1, that you've gone too far. 2, you need to learn to ask for help. Truly. Asking for help is probably one of the best things we could ever do. It's one of the strongest things we could ever do. And it's one of the least things we ever do. Why? Because we are trained and programmed to do it yourself. I got it. No problem. I got this. I can do this. Not a problem at all. I'm good. Thank you very much. No, I don't need your help. First thing I tell my clients now when they when they're one of those people who does it all, I says, why do you keep denying other people the happiness of helping you? And they go, I never looked at it that way. I'm like, right? Exactly. If somebody says, can I help you? It's because they want to. If somebody doesn't want to help you, they're not going to go offer. Okay. So when somebody offers to help you, just say yes and thank you, or, hey, you seem like really upset. Do you want to talk? And if you're one of the people like me that I can't talk right in that minute because the minute I open my mouth, I'm going to cry, then say, I need a few minutes, but I would love to talk with you. Okay, later. Okay. Let them know that's what you need. People are not mind readers, and that was one of my biggest problems. And again, this is why I call this living life through experience, because these are the experiences I've had that I hope will help you. Okay. I don't like asking for help. I know I can do it all myself. But again, why am I denying other people the happiness of helping me if that's what they want to do? So why not share? And it does not make me weak. It does not make me lazy. And a lot of people think immediately that's what it is. Well, if I can't do this, people are going to think I'm lazy. No. You're going to think that. Nobody else thinks that. I just had that conversation with somebody this week, and it wasn't about working per se, but it was about how they looked in a photo. And the first thing they saw was something that nobody else saw, because in their mind, that's all they're focused on right now. And it's like, nobody saw that. You know what they saw? They saw you and a dog in a picture. That's what they noticed. Nobody noticed that detail that you're worried about. It's true. It's very true. We are very self-critical, you know? So don't do that. Don't criticize yourself. You are who you are. Be who you are. Be happy with who you are. Communicate with people. Tell them you need help. I asked somebody one time, I says, why don't you go talk to your sibling? Maybe they can help you. I'm not going to do that. Why not? Because that makes me look weak. I'm a man. I shouldn't be like that. I'm like, oh, whatever. First of all, the strongest thing you can do is ask for help. The weakest thing you do is hide. You know, I think people have been taught backwards for years. In order to show that you're strong as a person, you're supposed to exert dominance and all kinds of control. And it's like, no. Forget what about you learned. Forget it. Forget anything you learned in the past. Having leadership skills, having personal power over your own life, over your own situations, your own choices, that is all yours. That is all yours. And I want you to do that. But know that if you need help, ask for it. If somebody says, can I help you with anything? By all means, yes, please. You know, I went through a situation when I got separated. All the money got frozen instantly because everything, of course, was my fault. And I'm like, okay, so now what do I do? You know, granted, I didn't make money, obviously, I'm working, but I had kids to feed, I had bills to pay, and everything got shut off. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll figure it out. I did. But at the same time, a close friend knew about this and came up to me one day and went, here, this is for you. And I went, oh, thank you. It was money to help me out with whatever I needed. She goes, I know you're having a tough time. I want you to take this. I don't want it back. I just want you to be able to do what you need to do. And it was so hard for me. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. She felt good helping me out. I felt good that she was helping me. It was a lesson learned. It really was, you know. And again, we're taught to be so independent and so strong and so like, you got to take care of yourself, which yes, take care of yourself. But yes, everybody runs into a situation now and then when things just go off the rails and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? Right? That's when you got to allow people to help you, you know. Keep connected with people. I mean, when I separated with my husband, the day it happened, the first thing I did was run to my best friend because she was the closest one in proximity to where I lived. And I was like, I went right there. Mind you, my sister was the next one on the phone. Like, this is what's happening, the whole thing. And you have to have that. You have to have somebody in your corner, you know, a friend, a family member, whatever it is. You know, you need those people around. You need to communicate. You need to ask for help. You need to express your feelings. You need to allow yourself to have intimacy, meaning you can open up, and I don't mean sexually at all. I mean, you can open up and freely speak your true feelings to someone you trust and love. Whether that is a family member, a best friend, or your spouse, whatever it is. But you have to have that openness, that free-flowing conversation where you can just bear it all and not think twice of it. Okay? That's what I mean by having this intimacy with people that you're close to. Because we all need that person. You know? Whether it could be your son, it could be your daughter, it could be anybody. I mean, now that my kids are adults, full-fledged adults, of course, I can pretty much talk to them about anything, you know, truly. And, you know, they talk to me about anything and a lot more than I expected, but I'm grateful that they do. But yeah, it's making connections with people, being open and honest, expressing your feelings, being able to be vulnerable. That's the big word, vulnerable. Because that's one thing I could never do. Like if I was hurting, it was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. And it's like, I have learned to go from that to being vulnerable to today, even at a different stage of that, where things can happen. And now I'm not even connected to things anymore. I'm like, well, that sucks. That's no good. All right, what do I need to do to get through this? That's where I'm at in life, So, yeah, I mean, there's so many different stages of life and oh my God, goals and leadership and personal power and whatnot. But all these things are here to help you learn. And as you go through them, you need to learn the stress management piece as well. Because yes, do I get through things much easier now? Oh yeah, by all means. Do I have things that have happened that once it's said and done and finished and it's free and clear, have I not done something for myself to really release any stress that was attached to that? Oh yes, I have. The last big thing I went through, I think I ended up going probably a few months later. There was a breath work in Cranston, Rhode Island, at a place I love going. And I went and I did breath work. And let me tell you, wow, what a release of stress. So yes, even though I'm a very, like a friend told me about that situation. She goes, you went through this whole situation with such grace. And I was like, huh? And she says, the way you handle it. She says, you didn't yell and scream and holler and create more drama. You didn't judge it. You just did it. You did what you had to do. I'm like, well, that's what needed to be done. But of course, that's how we see things now. Take me back 20 years. It would not have been the same thing. So, but again, hey, lesson learned. That's how I look at it. So yeah, so that night going to breath work was just phenomenal. Like that was probably one of the best breath work sessions I ever had. But, even though people can go through things with grace, and positivity, your body still feels the negativity of the situation. So yes, find ways to reduce that stress, to release it and let it go. And I think that's what that was for me that night. It's not that I was all stressed out and tense or whatever, but it was like oh my gosh, the best way to say it, it's kind of like the release that it's finally over, it's done, I can move on now. That's what that was for me. Okay. So yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to say with the last thing, as far as what we've been talking about that I do want to discuss, of course we talked about, setting goals, daily notes for ourselves, to-do lists and things like that, balancing your time, taking breaks. That's how we reduce the stress. That's how we manage our stress. But if you do not manage your stress, sorry, it's my dog making noise over here. If you do not manage your stress, what happens is you'll end up sick. And I don't mean emotionally, probably emotionally, mentally, but physically sick. Stress can do so much to our bodies. It is crazy what stress can do to us. And, it can be anything from rash to hives to colds to sore throats to, oh my God, you name it. Stress can do anything. And who wants that? So not only are you stressed to the gills, now you're sick, which makes you more stressed, right? And then you get to the point where you're like, I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, think about that. Think about that. Do things to reduce your stress. So yes, breathe, organize, right? Lists, okay? If you don't get to it all, not a big deal, okay? Self-care, downtime. If you need to walk away from a crazy situation or you've had too much socialization, then by all means, you know what, guys, excuse me, I think I've had enough for today. I'm going to head home. Do it. It is your life, your health. Take care of it. So time management, productivity, lists, like I've been saying right along, all these different, meditate, journal, run out in the middle of the woods and scream at the top of your lungs if you want to. Oh my God, scream therapy is amazing. Scream into a pillow, punch a pillow, I don't care. Whatever you need to do. Whatever works, going to yoga, going to an exercise class, going to a punching bag session, going to kung fu, going to, I don't know, anything, kick aerobics, whatever it is. I don't know. There's a million things out there. Whatever gets you to reduce your stress, do that. But first and foremost, just to live day by day, remember to breathe. That is important. Breathing is number one. Breathe. Do those little self-care tips. Take one day at a time, one project at a time, right? And if you're feeling overwhelmed, rest. Because otherwise your body will make you rest. How many times have you pushed and pushed and pushed your body till the point you were sick, right? Because that little voice in your head is like, you need to rest, you need to stop, you need to rest. And what happened? You didn't do it. Your body made you do it. Now you have to rest. Now you're even more disappointed. So ask for help, communicate with people. I mean, all these different things we've talked about. Life can get crazy, but it doesn't have to be difficult. And if you're feeling like it's difficult, then find somebody to talk to. Find somebody to help you. Call on God, call on the divine, call on your angels, call on your guides, call on your loved ones. Whoever you got to talk to. The divine is always there watching. They're always there listening. And they're always there to show you they're around. They leave signs all the time. So remember that. But yeah, focus on self. Set boundaries with those that you need to. Again, setting boundaries for yourself. If you're having a day, say, sorry, I can't help you today. I'm just not feeling myself. That's okay. That is okay. Stop feeling guilty, right? Because again, you're living your life, not theirs. You have to do what's best for you, truly. So that was a lot to talk about. But yeah, work on your stress management, right? We all do. We all need to do that. I don't care how many years, even like myself at 20 years of doing this, it's like, I still need to manage my stress. I do, because it's life, I'm just more aware of it than maybe some people. So I more hyper focus on it. I balance my time. I sit down when I don't feel like doing anything. I do stuff in moderation. So that's my talk for this week, guys. I don't know why I feel like I need to pull another card for you guys. It's like I tell my clients, I just do what I'm told. This is what I hear in my head, so this is what I do. So let's just pull another one to see where we're at after all that. Look at that, healthful eating. So healthful eating, does it necessarily pertaining to tonight's topic? Does it pertain to just food? No, but it's what you're taking in, right? What do you take in? Do you take in positive or do you take in negative? Do you take in craziness or do you take in happiness? Do you take in light or do you take in dark? Are you taking in, uplifting and positive from other people, or are you taking on their drama? So think about that. That's the healthful eating. Are we feeding our mind, our body, and our soul with everything that we need in our lives to keep us as stress-free as possible and moving forward? So eat healthy, right? Mind, body, and soul, emotionally, mentally, physically, even spiritually. You always got to feed your spirit, whatever that means for you. And take care of yourself. So thank you, as always, for listening. And I so look forward to talking with all of you next week. All right, guys, have a great night. Thanks again. It is Thursday. Be thankful. Spread the gratitude.